The most difficult type of model railroad to build of any scale, any gauge, is an outdoor model railroad. So I decided to build one.
This video is brought to you with support from my patrons on Patreon. These videos would not be possible without them, and if you'd like to join the Patreon community, you can follow the link in the description below and join for as little as $1 a month.
This is my new garden railroad, and over the next few videos, we're going to be going over building it. Let's check it out. This is a 10-foot by 6-foot small garden railway built in a raised bed. For this, I used solid brass rails, and it has a 2-foot minimum radius. This series is going to cover constructing the bed, laying the track, simple landscaping, and then running trains. Let's get started. The first thing I want to show you is the starter set that I'm using for this build. This is from LGB, which is a longtime maker of European and American G-gauge items. This particular set is the construction starter set, which is their least expensive starter set as of making this video. It will run you about $220 to $250 US, depending on where you buy it. It includes a 4-foot circle of brass track, an 040 narrow gauge locomotive, 2 pieces of rolling stock, some track clips, and a power pack. This is the area in question that we will be building our garden railroad. This will be a small garden railroad, but will be fun for me and the kids and also be manageable to tend to. Now this area does have a slight drop in elevation that I will have to accommodate for, so I set about figuring out what the elevation change is. Now, I'm no expert at building planter beds. I did learn a ton from this YouTube video that I have linked right up here. I will also link it in the description below. And of course, I have my little helpers assisting me. I ended up using stakes, string, and a string level to figure out that I had a 3-inch elevation drop. Once that was done, I marked the area that I would be working on. Next, I dug the trench for the base of the retaining wall that I would need to build and began removing the sod, which my little helpers were eager to help out with, which is great because this was the single toughest part of the entire build.
This is gonna take a while, so I'm just gonna cut to when I'm done.
Once that was done, I could begin building the retaining wall. The first order was to put drainage rock in the trench. I then poured down paver sand on top of the drainage rocks. I was making sure that I tamped down the layers with a tamper to prevent settling and shore up the base. I made sure the layers I was making were level at each step. Now it is time for the really transformative part, the retaining wall itself. I began at the patio, and thank goodness I had my helper because he brought his truck and that made things a lot easier. In case you can't tell, garden railroads are a great family project. This was a continual process of stack, level, repeat. Once that was done, it was time to fill in the bed. I did start off camera with some cheap fill dirt, and I used about a half a yard of fill dirt and tamped it down before placing this garden soil. I used the same process of spreading the dirt and then tamping it down to make sure that I had a solid base to build on. And just like that, we have a nice raised flower bed to build our garden railway in. We have our foundation, that flower bed, basically the garden railroad equivalent of your bench work. So next time we're going to be doing some track work. If that video is already up, it'll be linked right here. Otherwise, it'll be next week's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading. Garden railroading.